Okay, so I made the first video on the situation as my first YouTube video because, as a very firm anti-fascist who's been a fan of Cemetery for years, the whole situation just really pissed me off. I really just made it out of anger, and because I had been following the situation for a while, I felt like I knew a good amount about it, and I wanted more people to know about the situation. And I really was not expecting to get that many views and that much comment engagement on it. On my other past YouTube projects, I'd worked on them for years and I had never gotten a video with 1,000 views. Um, so I was pretty happy with that video, and I was very excited and happy with all the engagement I got on it. But drama content is not really the kind of content that I want to focus on this channel for. So after that, Hunaholics came out, and I was very excited for that album. So I made a first listening reaction video, and it got like 30 views and no comments. And same for the other first listening I did after that, which I was disappointed about, but I understand, like first time listening reaction videos are very oversaturated on YouTube. A lot of people made listenings to that album, and my personality and commentary doesn't really stand out in that space. But realizing or thinking about that, I realized I could make another video on the situation, not really just to milk views and try to recreate the same number of views, but because, as people pointed out in that first video, I made a lot of mistakes in that first video, and I responded to all the comments and I tried to put it in the description. But I thought I should make another video just to explain my corrections in detail, and also because there's some pretty important stuff that I just never mentioned and completely left out of the situation in the last video. And since that did get so many views and so many people learned about the situation through my video, it's probably the right thing to do to correct the record, make sure I'm putting out most accurate information. So yeah, that's why I'm doing a part 2. So corrections from the last video. So this is a pretty big one. My Smoked Dope 2016 being in the background of the Sam Hyde iDubbbz video claim was false. I even said in that video that it was a crackpot theory and I wasn't sure about it, but this commenter claims to have been an acquaintance with Smoked Dope 2016 since 2021, and it said it doesn't look like his body, and he was going to ask him for clarification, and he said that he answered and said he'd never been in the same vicinity as Sam Hyde, which I'm willing to believe. Initially, when I saw this picture, it reminded me of this outfit that Smoked Dope 2016 wore in his I'm God, I think it's I'm God by Lil B cover with Acid Soldier, but you can clearly see, I mean, they're different shirts. The mask is gray and not black. It hangs down more, and he's not wearing sunglasses. He's actually never worn sunglasses. I thought maybe he was wearing them in that video to hide his eyes so he'd be less recognizable hanging out with Sam Hyde. But no, I mean, you can just tell they're right about the body type too. It also looks like he has arm hair here and he doesn't in this. So yeah, I shouldn't have included that video. I wasn't really sure about it in the first place, but I shouldn't have included that. I also went on to kind of oversell his connection to Shed. I do still agree that at the time it seemed weird to me that Haunted Mound was collabing with him when he's worked with Shed multiple times, and he's also worked with Acid Soldier, who's worked with Chris Dillinger, who I'll mention the Chris Dillinger stuff in a second too. He's really just a neutral party who's worked with both groups, because at that point, Haunted Mound ended the beef, so it wasn't really wrong for him to work with them. And I feel bad because I kind of just painted him in a negative light when I'm actually a really big fan of him. I love the Come Up and the Peak albums. I love his song with Joey. I love his song with Laker, his song with Hackle, and his new feature on the Hanaholics mixtape. And I also feel bad that I said maybe the him wearing a mask thing was just because he didn't want to be seen with Sam Hyde. Because I get not respecting your privacy, like I don't show my face on this channel too. So yeah, I feel bad accusing him of that. He didn't really do anything wrong. He's just a neutral party who's worked with both groups, and he makes good music, and he seems like a nice guy. So the next most important thing that I completely fucked up is Chris Dillinger. So in the video, I showed this picture of Buckshot and Turnabout hanging out with Chris Dillinger, but all I said was Chris Dillinger, even though Chris Dillinger is not in Shed, it's still weird for Buckshot to be hanging out with him when he's diss Cemetery, and it seemed like he was kind of just purposely hanging out with a lot of people who didn't like Cemetery publicly to see what he could get away with. But this commenter pointed out that even though Chris Dillinger is not in Shed, he's directly related to Sam Hyde. He has 2 music videos with him. So it was really stupid for me to try to draw this association with Smoke Dope 2016, and that wasn't there with Sam Hyde, but not mention Chris Dillinger being directly in videos with him. I want to talk about this song for a second. They did an Anthony Fantano diss track together, and the flow that Chris Dillinger does on this song sounds like a Uno Miles flow. Like it's really, really bad, really shitty song. And this was 4 years before Uno Miles. Like this was 4 years ago. I think that was before Uno Miles even made music. But it so I don't think it was on purpose, but it still sounds really weird. Like I get it's a joke diss track with Sam Hyde, so he's not gonna try to make a good song, but his music doesn't normally sound like that, and it was really weird. Because like when Joey, that TikTok I showed with Joey where he made a song with Sam Hyde, it still sounded like his normal music, just like a shitty song with Sam Hyde featured on it. And then they also made this other song together, which also has a music video, and that one was a little bit better, but it's still, I don't get why Sam Hyde keeps doing rap songs with these rappers, because it's not really that funny, and he doesn't have any vocal talent or lyrical talent, so it's just kind of shitty music. And I don't really get why the rappers do it either. Like I get like a lot of these rappers are like enjoyed ironically, so they think it's like good marketing, but I mean you're also publicly aligning yourself with a neo-Nazi, so it's strange. But I definitely should have included that. That's my fault. And the stupid thing is I even remember this Anthony Fantano diss track existing. I just didn't remember that Chris Dillinger was in it, because when I watched this originally, it was years before I knew who Chris Dillinger was. So that was a big fuck up on my part. Okay, so I'm including this little part because I forgot to include it in the main recording. But I also wanted to say, if we're going to be talking about like loose associations through collabs, like I have been the whole time, it's kind of wrong to say Chris Dillinger has nothing to do with Shed, because a lot of his stuff is produced by DJ Smokey. And DJ Smokey has produced a ton of stuff for Shed, and he's definitely the most famous producer that's worked with Shed. So, yeah, there's he's loosely associated. This next one is not as serious, but basically when I went over the Varg Burzum drama, and when I went on that tangent, I kind of explained it incorrectly. This commenter said, knowledge of black metal and Burzum is off, but it doesn't tie in too much. I said, I'm not an expert. I don't listen to black metal that much, which is true. I really only got into Burzum because of Cemetery, and I only like Philo some, however you say the album name. So I'm not an expert, and I was just recounting a YouTube video probably incorrectly, which is true. I was just recounting that Papa Meat video I linked, but that was also like a general video going over the history of black metal in general. It wasn't only about the Varg eponymous or Mayhem lead singer drama, so it left some stuff out. But he said Varg joined Mayhem as a bass player, but had ended up killing Euronymous because of a dispute over money he made from the Burzum records. So in the video, I said that he just killed him for no reason, or to be edgy or see what it felt like, which is not true. It seemed like there was some reason for him doing that. I also didn't mention that he was actually in Mayhem as a bass player, because I didn't know that. That also wasn't in the YouTube video. But also, I found this Quora response from a fan who was also recounting their own reasons why he thought it happened, which is a little bit different. But then Dead committed suicide in 1992. That's one of the other Mayhem members. Necrobutcher left Mayhem, another member. So Euronymous, which is the lead singer, decided to offer Vikers, which Varg, that's Varg's last name, the spot of bassist. And then Attila Kishit joined Mayhem as the vocalist. A lot of this is like unrelated, but Cesar, who is vegan, was disgusted by Mayhem stage antics because of all those pig heads and bloods used in their gig. Burzum released 3 albums from 1992 to 1994, but the problem was because Euronymous had delayed the release of the albums. Plus, after Dead's suicide, Euronymous had gone insane and was considering himself as a god figure. That's probably the reason why Vikners was fed up with Euronymous' antics, and the rest is history. So those are 2 different fans giving like more context and reason for why he killed him. And I mean, like, a YouTube comment and a Quora article isn't like an amazing source, but I was also just like retelling a YouTube video, and these seem like more hardcore fans who know what they're talking about. So I'm willing to admit that it was wrong for me to act like there was no motive behind the Varg murders. It seemed like he had reason to be upset with Euronymous. And if you're wondering why I even included that tangent in the original video, other than just me thinking it was interesting, I do think it was relevant because before the Rainbow Bridge trilogy, there wasn't like a huge amount of anti-Nazi lyrics from Cemetery, and I think it's kind of a situation where like, for example, if you were like, oh, I'm a Kanye fan, like these days, you would probably feel kind of obligated to be like, but I don't support neo-Nazi stuff. I don't support the stuff he's doing now. Because when an artist makes political statements like that, like, by being a fan, you're kind of indirectly associating with that. And it's worse for Varg than it is for Kanye, because he's always had those views. So my point was kind of, I don't think, even though I do think those were somewhat Cemetery's views, I don't think he put them in his songs out of like a deep passion for anti-fascism. I think he did it because he wanted to include Burzum, but he didn't want people to think he was a Nazi. And you can see other artists who are even like apolitical doing the same kind of thing, because I watched the Young Lean over under interview that he did years ago, and they asked him if Varg was over or underrated, and he said, even though he doesn't ever speak on politics, he said the same thing. He said, I don't really stand by his politics, but he made good music. So I don't know. I thought it was worth including in the video. I just didn't know what I was talking about. Actually, important part why I was like, I definitely have to make this video, other than the corrections. Last video, I completely ignored the fact that Hackle was hanging out with Shed Theory, making songs with, and hanging out with Shed Theory members as well. and in one of the songs, he confirmed the beef is over, basically. So, this song with Ricky Chicks, this Ricky Chick song features Hackle. It's called Flashbang, and I don't know. I've never listened to Ricky Chicks before. I really don't like him that much. He has a strange voice. The song doesn't sound very good. It grew on me a little bit, but he has a really obnoxious voice that doesn't fit the Shed style as well as some of the other artists. But the important part is in Hackle's verse. He says, "Used to beef with Shed, but we cool now." And the reason why this is important, like, you might think at this point, it's like, well, obviously, clearly, the beef is over. Like, you've shown all these connections. Like, they've been making songs. Members have been making songs together. But like I said in the last video, Joey or Cemetery or any of the other artists never, like, publicly stated that. So this is the only, like, public statement we'll ever get. It's just Hackle just casually mentioning it. In the song, and it's very frustrating because in the song he doesn't say why. Like, we're never gonna get a reason why Haunted Mound decided to end this beef, because they were right. Like, they were right that they do work with Sam Hyde. They are Nazis, but for some reason they just decided that they don't care about it anymore. But yeah, here's this is on Instagram. This is a picture of Hackle hanging out at an event with a bunch of Shed Theory members. Even though, here's this picture again. Obviously, Buck was hanging out with Shed Theory members. But so is Turnabout. And I know Turnabout is not in Haunted Mound anymore. But, you know, I mean, he's still associated with it. That's still really all he's known for. No offense to Turnabout. I mean, I like some music after leaving Haunted Mound. But, and then there's this tweet with Marlon Dubois. I don't know how you say that, but he's tweeted, "Me and Ghost Mound would make some fire." And there's no, like, confirmed connection that Ghost Mound has, like, met with any Shed Theory members, or that he, like, is actually cool with them. But I imagine he wouldn't say that unless he thought that he wouldn't tweet that unless he thought he had a decent chance to actually collab with him. And considering pretty much every other rapper besides every rapper besides Cemetery and Haunted Mound is, like, working with them or hanging out with them now, it's not that crazy. And even if they didn't meet, Buckshot just made a song with Ghost Mound. Like, they released a snippet, so I imagine since Buckshot made a song with Marlon, he probably has run it by Ghost Mound. So Ghost Mound's probably at least considering working with Marlon. And I don't know how Ghost feels about Shed Theory, because he was gone for so much of this. I imagine he probably doesn't know them too well. Like, this is another thing I should have mentioned in the last video, but, like, before the beef happened, some of the time while Ghost Mound was still around, he did used to hang out with Shed. Like, the 1312 song that I showed in that last video to show the anti-cop lyrics features Juju World, who was in Shed. So there's a chance that Ghost might have known them through Cemetery before he left and before the beef started, but I really doubt it. But I mean, because of that, he also probably doesn't have any negative associations with them. And also, like, again, I want to say, as a fan of both Marlon and Ghost Mountain, I would be excited if they collabed, but I'm worried it would be like the Buckshot song, where the mix is so bad that it's just like a shitty song and you're just collabing with a Nazi to not even make a good song. And to be fair to that song, that is a leak, so the final mix, if it ever gets released, probably would sound better. But basically, we get in this Hackle song, we get a confirmation that the beef's over, and basically every rapper that is in Haunted Mound or has been in Haunted Mound has been either hanging out with them or collabing with them, or at least probably considering collabing with them. So, we just have to come to the conclusion that they're cool completely with Shed now, and they don't give a shit about the Nazi lyrics. It's not speculation anymore, or not Nazi lyrics, the Nazi associations. Because in the last video, I had that screenshot of text between Buck and Ricky Chicks and all them saying that like they thought Cemetery might be upset that they were collabing together, but it's like all this Bugshot shit with him hanging out is public. Hackles hanging out with them and says the beef's over. Turnabout's hanging out with them. Everybody but the producers is hanging out with them. So if Cemetery was the only one who was still holding on to some kind of beef or resentment against them, but everyone else in his collective was like cool with them, that would be kind of weird because Cemetery is the one in charge. And obviously, like, he can't control what they do completely, but it would be kind of weird for him to not get upset about this. And he's never made any kind of statement about it. So my theory is that he just thought it would be easier and more lucrative to ignore his principles and put this beef aside and work with Shed. And neither of them are making neither group made any kind of public statement about it, like with explanations why the beef is over, because it's not really justifiable to be the group that said, I want to kill Nazis, but now you're just fine with Nazis. But yeah, I definitely should have included that, because it's not just Buck. And a lot of people on social media that I see are just upset that Buck is associating with all this. Associating with Shed. And it's like nobody else did anything as bad as supporting Ramelia. But, I mean, the Nazi shit is just not exclusive to Ramelia. Like Shed was telling Buckshot to get Iron Cross tattoos, and they hang out with Sam Hyde. So it's the whole group of Haunted Mound that's infected with this Nazi shit now. But, the next thing I want to talk about is in response to this comment that I got that said, Buck is going to die before any of this matters. And then I said, as far as I know, Buckshot has mostly been addicted to stimulants until recently. Stimulant addiction is terrible, but at the very least, you're not likely to die from an overdose on them. So I'd be much more worried about Cemetery, who's been doing oxys every day. And I'm not really right about that you shouldn't be worried about Buckshot, but the rest of what I said is true, I think. And also, I want to say that, but before I complain about this stuff, I don't have any problem with drug use. Like, I do drugs fairly often. I think if you're being responsible and you're practicing harm reduction, that it can add to your life. And I also understand that if you're going to be a rap group, you're going to be doing drugs a lot. It's kind of expected in the culture that you're going to be going overboard, that you're going to be partying hard. But I think kind of the attitude that Haunted Mound and Cemetery especially has been putting out is kind of very reckless and dangerous and irresponsible. But on these are lyrics from Haunaholic, these first two. On Meet Up and Die, Cemetery, it was Anvil actually, it was Anvil tags. He said, "Do not Narcan me, I repeat, do not Narcan me, do not blow my high." Which, if you don't know, Narcan is this emergency medicine that you take and you keep on you if you're an opioid user to, if you take it, it completely counteracts opioids, and you take that in an emergency if you're about to overdose on an opioid. So to say something like that is pretty fucked up. Like, I think people should Narcan you if they think you're overdosing. Your high is not more important than your life. And this next one is also pretty bad. It said, "Rehab is for quitters, bitch, I'm going dumb till I'm dead." And as I've mentioned many times, Buckshot was gone for like a few years, not making music, to go to rehab for his stimulant addiction, and then as soon as he started making music again, he was already relapsed. So I kind of feel like that's partially Cemetery's fault. If this is his kind of mindset and the culture that he has, Buckshot is not going to be able to get better because he's just expected that he has to do drugs for the brand or whatever. That if that's if that's how Cemetery views rehab, then Buckshot obviously is not going to be able to get better. And also that's also horrible advice. Like there's nothing wrong with doing drugs, but if you're addicted, you should go to rehab and get help. And so the next lyric is not from Haunaholics and it's not from Cemetery, but it kind of goes in this whole culture of how they view drug use in Haunted Mound. It's from Lash Out by Hackle. It says, Tuss tell my liver giving out, and then another line says, turnabout not fucking with the perks because he's scared of the fent. And if you don't know, Turnabout joined Haunted Mound when he was 17 years old, and I think he's still only 19, so he was a teenager that all these 20-year-old rappers brought into this drug use culture, and Hackle's making fun of him for being worried about Fent and Percocet, which I think is a reasonable thing to be worried about. And if you don't know, Turnabout and producer Gonerville both left Haunted Mound because of the culture, and one of the reasons they mentioned was Cemetery's drug use. So I feel like shit like that definitely contributed to them leaving. Like, he was 17 when he joined. He's a teenager. He should not be around that kind of culture. But also, I recognize that he's being, in these songs, I like these songs. I recognize that he's being over the top, and he's being, like, not like rage bait. Like, I think he doesn't want to quit, but I do think he's, like, exaggerating to sound cool in a rap song. But that's still a really bad message to put out. And it's even worse because obviously they had Wicked Phase from Goth Boy Click on Haunaholics, and that song was really good. But because of that, Cemetery, in the description, he has RIP to some people that he likes. He says RIP Fredo Santana, Capo, David Lynch, and Lil Peep. It was obviously in Goth Boy Click too. And I think it's kind of in poor taste to have lyrics like this in your song when obviously, or in your album, where in the description you're saying RIP Lil Peep, when obviously Lil Peep was severely addicted to drugs for his entire rap career, and he died because he took fentanyl-laced Xanax. Like, doesn't that just feel kind of gross to say RIP Lil Peep in the description when on your album you're saying rehab is for quitters, do not Narcan me? I don't know. But I was right to be worried about Cemetery for sure, but I was also wrong that we should not be worried about Buckshot. Because Buckshot's concerning suicidal ideation, behavior, and drug use. I said in that comment, he's mostly been addicted to stimulants and you're not likely to overdose on stimulants, but it seems recently he has been doing heroin, because he made this tweet that said, bitch, I got that heroin. And then in that same Chris Dillinger and Turnabout picture, they were holding needles, and people on social media got upset about this, and you're like, are you guys doing heroin? And he tried to claim that they were Ozempic needles in response to this. I can't find the tweet where he said that it was Ozempic, but everybody on the subreddit said that was the claim he made, and those are clearly not Ozempic needles, but and they're heroin needles, which makes sense because of the tweet. And he also tweeted that I've never done drugs ever, which is clearly a lie. Obviously, that's a fucking lie. He has so many lyrics about it. It's like we know that he went to rehab. It was proven. But the other more concerning thing, I don't know if it's more concerning, but he started tweeting stuff like this. He said, "I'm going to kill myself. This has never happened before." And then he said, "Oscar 18 just saved my life." Which, if you don't know who Oscar 18 is, he's one of Haunted Mound's producers. He's also from Ireland, and he's a close friend of Buckshot. He joined Haunted Mound at the exact same time that Buckshot did. He produced all of Burning Barn. So, yeah, so they're very close friends. And he said, "Oscar 18 just saved my life." So presumably he almost overdosed or attempted suicide or something. And in light of that, I do kind of want to apologize for edgy joke that I made. This was on the subreddit, this joke here, and I posted it to my community tab. I don't think very many people saw it, but the joke is he's putting a gun up to his head, and it says, "Was Buckshot paying homage to his glorious leaders? And since he's doing Nazi shit, Hitler shot himself in the head." So it was very funny at the time, but now that he's actually talking about being suicidal, I deleted that community post. And it's not not really that funny anymore. I am concerned about him, even though he's supporting Nazi shit. I don't actually want him to die. I think he's very mentally unwell, and it's easier to radicalize someone when they're mentally unwell. But he's also just being very nasty to fans on Twitter. Some of this is from the Ramelia stuff. I should have included this in the last video. He said, "Sorry that I'm young, lit, rich, and turned." And it said, "Why do you support neo-Nazi suicide encouragement groups?" And he said, "Can you guys fuck off?" And then someone said, "People love to jump to conclusions. You're the GOAT." And then someone said, "Maybe stop dick riding, read about Ramelia Corp, come back to me when you figure out why someone would knowingly support all that." And he just said, "Shut the fuck up." And then I did include this in the last video where he justified accidentally following that neo-Nazi account by being high. But I think the most egregious thing is on that tweet where he said he's going to kill himself. This Twitter user, Zoe, I think made a very genuine and nice, heartfelt message out of concern, which was, "We all want to see you get better. You have a lot to come back from, but you can get there if you really want it. You have so much left to do. Don't throw it away just because it's hard right now." And he just said, "Shut the fuck up." So he's very angry, and even when it's not stuff like the Ramelia stuff where people are actually accusing him and people are just trying to be nice and offer him support, he's lashing out at fans. And I still don't want to take away all the blame from him. I do think he is in the wrong for the Ramelia stuff and supporting Shed, but he's clearly very unwell. He's very drug addicted, and he probably has other mental illnesses. And like I said, in the kind of culture that he's in, being a rapper around Cemetery and all of them, I don't think he's really in an environment where he can get better. He needs to go back to rehab, but that's not going to happen. So when that person in the comments said Buck is going to die before any of this matters, that might be true, because seems like he's already attempted on his life or almost overdosed or something a couple times. But yeah, that's all the updates and things I got wrong, corrections I wanted to make. But since I did say that I don't want this, I never made this channel with the intention of being a drama YouTuber. I thought it would be funny to just briefly explain all the other Haunted Mound dramas and controversies that have happened over the years, so I don't get any comments or requests or feel like I have to talk about them in the future. So obviously the first one that happened and the most iconic one is Ghost Mountain leaving Haunted Mound originally, and then eventually coming back. But in this Mask Gorilla podcast interview, basically Cemetery just says that he didn't feel like Ghost Mound was fully about it, or that he didn't want to commit his 100% to being a rapper or staking everything on that, which is true because Ghost Mound left and went to film school at college. Did film studies at college for years. But he did say he would be open to him coming back if he was willing to put his all in it. Which after Ghost Mountain finished film school, that actually did end up happening. And that I remember that shocked everybody. Like, nobody expected that to actually happen. It seemed like the relationship between him and Ghost Mountain was completely severed, and that Ghost Mountain didn't want anything to do with Haunted Mountain anymore. But we're all really happy that he's come back. He's probably almost everyone's favorite member. He's my favorite member. I think he's the most talented. So, that one worked out good in the end, but that was definitely like the first Haunted Mountain controversy, was the drama between him and Ghost Mountain. And this next one, I think chronologically the one after that is the Snuffer situation. So Snuffer was this producer who worked for Haunted Mound. He didn't produce very many songs for them. He wasn't a very popular member because he didn't do that much. But he also worked with this other rapper who wasn't in Haunted Mound called Cocaine Kruger. And he produced songs for them, and there was a bunch of those songs up on Spotify. Some of those were pretty good. I liked Get Scary. But basically, it was found out that Snuffer was sexting Haunted Mound fangirls on Discord, and apparently, accidentally, he claims it was an accident, he engaged with a 17-year-old fan. And I don't know if he actually I don't think he actually exchanged nudes or anything with them, or if he did, they got deleted. But he was not, even if this was an accident, he was not remorseful, because as stated in this tweet, he said, "She hasn't got much proof to work off anyway. I hacked all her main accounts and deleted our convos and changed passwords when I found out." And so all these DMs of him talking about it and saying he hacked her accounts and stuff came out, and is basically proven that he did engage with the 17-year-old, at least somewhat. And even if he's not a pedophile and he wasn't trying to groom anybody, it's still really creepy to sex your fans on Discord. You're taking advantage of parasocial relationships and being kind of like an internet celebrity. But basically, he got completely kicked out of Haunted Mound. All of his songs with Cocaine Kruger also completely got wiped from Spotify, and now he doesn't have a career anymore. So that's resolved. He was so worried. He was more worried about getting canceled and losing his career than he was the people that he hurt in that situation, and it came back to bite him because he did lose everything. And this next one is obviously Turnabout and Gonerville leaving Haunted Mound. Like I said, Turnabout was only 17 years old when he joined Haunted Mound, and he was in this strange drug use culture. And Gonerville was a really popular and successful, talented producer for Haunted Mound. He produced most of Turnabout's music. He kind of like how Oscar 18 and Buckshot are kind of paired up, and Oscar 18 usually produced most of Buckshot's music. That's how Gonerville was for Turnabout. So they both ended up leaving together. And this is Gonerville's statement. It said, "I'll start by saying this is only addressing Cemetery," and then he says his real name. "I have so much love for everybody else. I was never doing this because I didn't want this to be what started Turn and I's solo journey of music. I'm struggling to stay quiet and respectful based on my very last experience with Cemetery. As previously stated, although there were many instances of disrespect, unfair power dynamics, and disagreements, Turn and I left wanting nothing but mutual respect. On May 3rd, 2024, we decided to purchase tickets and go to the SLC Haunted Mound show. This was an effort to show support and provide an opportunity to come to an understanding. For someone who hates the loss so much, the joke wrote itself when we were greeted by security who had pictures of our passports saying we weren't allowed in. Keep in mind, we never had any idea of causing harm or trouble, just showing support. I would have understood the concern if we had happened to be with tons of people, but it was just us and our girlfriends. This was a slap in the face and solidified my judgments on Cemetery. I also want to address that I am grateful for the opportunities given to me by Cemetery, but I will not let my contribution to Haunted Mound go unnoticed. And then there's a lot more pages of his statement, but I only included this part of the second page. The main three factors that led Turn and I to our departure: personality, control, and drug abuse. I have never met anyone who was so disrespectful and shameless about the way he treated my friends, family, and everybody else in Haunted Mound's loved ones as well. So it was because of the drug use, like I mentioned before, which is probably good, like I said, with how young Turnabout was, and then it was because of Cemetery being an asshole and being a control freak and being really rude to Garnerville and Turnabout. And then after that, the next one is Anvil. He is also a Haunted Mound producer. He started producing for them a long time ago, like before he ever became an official member. But after the Snuffer stuff, and I think either after Turnabout and Garnerville left, or like right before they left, he became a producer as an official member. He produced Haunaholics. He's also the guy doing the yelling tags that a lot of people don't like on Haunaholics, but that I liked. But he has sexual assault and grooming allegations, and apparently they go back years to him back when he was working with the Goth Boy Clique, even before he worked with Haunted Mound. But pretty much all of the evidence is inconclusive, so it's not confirmed like the Snuffer stuff was, and he's still in Haunted Mound, still being very successful, still producing for them, and I'm not really sure to feel about it until more evidence comes out about that. So that's still ongoing, I guess, or might never get resolved, because I don't know if there's any. If he did do it, there's not really any concrete evidence on it, unfortunately, but I mean, he might be innocent too. And then this next one is just kind of a fun one. Over the more recent years, there has been a lot of low quality merch. The merch used to be handled by Hackle, and they used to ship everything themselves, and it was a lot more high quality. But some of the more recent merch quality, like the quality of the blanks and the prints, were really low quality. Like, I think someone on the subreddit posted like a shirt that like completely disintegrated in the wash. And also this picture here is funny. This is from when, after Ghost Mountain rejoined, Cemetery put Grave House and 100 Acre Risk back on Spotify because they were gone for years since Ghost Mountain wasn't in the group. And he like made this really like hasty, like shitty Redbubble looking ass merch drop. It's kind of like a quick cash grab. Like, there was no actual graphic design work put into it. It was just like the album logo and some shit on the sleeve, which this is funny because year 0001, which is Young Lean and Blade's old record label and merch handler has done shit like this before too. Like they released a shirt for Blade's album Spider that I unfortunately I own that looks exactly like this, where it's just the album cover and then the logos on the sleeves. Like which sucks too, because Spider is like easily the worst, ugliest looking Blade album cover. So they're not the only company to do lazy drops like this, but it was pretty bad when the Grave House Haunted or the Grave House and 100 Acre wrist drops were pretty bad too. But I think they've the more recent merch, I haven't heard anybody complain about like the quality, and I mean like the designs are good again, and I think the blanks and the print quality is decent again. I haven't heard anybody complain about the Haunaholics merch. Okay, so I almost completely forgot to include this other one. I forgot to include it on the slide, and I'm recording this after the main part of the video. But this one's a super deep cut for reasons I'll explain why. But it's the Snoobler situation. Basically, Snoobler was this Haunted Mound member who's not very well known. He's even less well known than Snuffer, and he joined around the time that like Buckshot and Hackle and Oscar 18, a lot of those producers were going on. But basically, he never. It's not even known whether he was a rapper or a producer because he didn't get a chance to do anything. And they never really talk about him anymore, because basically, shortly after he joined Haunted Mound, he got a DUI and he ended up killing somebody and getting manslaughter charges, and he is in prison right now. But his father, he's kind of a nepo baby, and his father is very powerful, so he paid to get any information about this online or any articles or anything off of social media, and he paid Haunted Mound to never talk about him again or act like he wasn't ever in the group, because he doesn't want public attention on his son, because it reflects badly on him as like a high class haughty rich person in society or whatever. So yeah, I mean it's a pretty insane situation, and nobody ever talks about it anymore because it's completely wiped from the internet. But yeah, and I almost completely forgot about it. But yeah, the Snoobler situation is crazy. He's still in jail for killing an innocent person. Maybe one day though he'll. I don't know if he actually got kicked out because of the stuff with his dad or what, but maybe one day he'll get out and he'll finally release some music. The Snoobler comeback would be crazy. But yeah, I had to make sure I included that because that's also important. Like I said, I want to make sure I cover everything so I never have to do Haunted Mound drama content again. But yeah, yeah, I just wanted to make that part 2 because, like I said, I got a huge amount of views and success off of it, and I also got a lot wrong and left a lot out. Like, completely leaving out the Hackle shit is kind of egregious. I just didn't see that before. Otherwise, I would have included it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like I said, I'm not gonna do drama content like this anymore. I would appreciate it if you watch the reaction videos or whatever else, Taylor's videos, wherever else I make, but I understand most people probably aren't going to do that. I'm just going to continue making content for fun. This series was really just because the Shed / Familia stuff really pissed me off, and as a fan, and I wanted to talk about it. But yeah, thanks for all the support and engagement anyways, and thanks for watching. Bye.